What's up, everybody? It's Frederick Douglass Bussey. Today, we're going to be talking about why small thinking is keeping you stuck in your business and what you can do about it. I'm Frederick Douglass Bussey. It's another whiteboard session. Let's go to work. So if you've been watching the news at all, financial news, if you're in the crypto space, you know about Sam Bankman-Fried, you know about FTX filing for bankruptcy late last week, about the upheaval. Sam Bankman-Fried lost $15 billion, his entire net worth, in less than a week. And it's a catastrophic loss. And most of us can even conceive of losing that much money in that amount of time. How did it happen? Well, it may sound counterintuitive to what we're talking about today, but I actually want to illustrate why small thinking actually leads to big disastrous results and keeps you from moving forward. And if you're in a business that you want to be able to grow, it's a thing that may be standing between you and getting to that level of success that you really want for yourself and for your business. So if you're watching this live on LinkedIn or Facebook, drop a comment below. Let me know what you're discovering from this process as we talk about this and how we work through it. Because if you can figure this out, it can unlock a lot of things for you and figure out why you're not getting more momentum in your business. And if you are at a level where you never thought you'd be before and you're afraid of losing it, this may be something you need to consider as well, right? So we're going to talk about big thinking versus small thinking. And then I'm going to tie it back to what happened with FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried and a way that people think. One of the things that we talk about when it comes to thinking is big versus small. And so we often think of that in terms of numbers, right? So if I want to build let's say I want to build a $1 million business versus a $1 billion business, right? And so the difference in size is a difference in a shift in thinking, right? Now, obviously, 1 billion is 1,000x 1 million in terms of revenue. But does that mean that you're working 1,000 times harder? Does it mean that you're 1,000 times smarter? Does it mean that you have 1,000 times more resources? What it means is, obviously, is that there is a difference in the type or level of value that you're creating for the marketplace, for your investors, for your customers, that is different. And so the shift in being able to create outsized value is to be able to associate that with a different level of thinking, right? For many people, $1 million is the magic number, right? And so if I can become a millionaire, I'll be successful. And so the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire is the level of thinking and way that they're thinking about these problems. How do we do that? One of the things that we do is that we realize that if you think about time as a luxury, which is something I talk about, if you knew that you were going to make $1 billion in 40 years, if it was going to take you 40 years to build $1 billion versus being able to make $1 million in a year, would you do that? Most people would take the $1 million in a year because in their minds, it's tied to something that's more tangible and it's more short term. The challenge is that when you are in that space and you're thinking only in that level, it actually restricts you from getting here. And why is that? Well, let's talk about it. When we have a lot of, actually, I want to keep that small. When we have a lot of corporations, billion-dollar corporations, etc., that are plagued with small thinking. And when I talk about small thinking, I'm talking about long-term versus short-term thinking. Meaning that what happens with most businesses is that they are run by people who have jobs, and these jobs are dictated by reports, and these reports are dictated by monthly and quarterly earnings, right? And so the quarterly report means that you have to hit these targets. The idea is that when you have these targets set at these shorter term milestones, that what you're doing is you're helping people to keep their eye on the ball so you can project over time. The problem is that what most people do is they're thinking about what happens now. I need to be able to make my numbers now to keep my job today because I've got to be able to pay the rent. I've got to be able to get this bonus by the end of the year, by Christmas, to make sure these things are happening for me. And that's a big challenge. If you know anybody who works in that space, if you've ever been thinking about that, think about how many people are thinking about what is the next bill that I owe. Oh, the gas bill is due tomorrow. Oh, the mortgage is due on Friday. Oh, such and such is due on the 1st or the 15th, right? And so we often think in terms of those things. And those are the things that restrict us because we're stuck here. We're thinking about bills, expenses, and we're thinking about losses, right? How do I pay off these things that I owe, debt, etc., right? And so one of the things that debt can do when you're using it wrong is it becomes an albatross. It becomes an anvil around your neck. It's dragging you down. And so you're not free to think beyond making the next payment. Instead of thinking, how can I create outsized value here so that I can end up in a dominant position? You listen to any entrepreneur, oftentimes what they talk about is, I want to be able to have more freedom, more time, more limits, right? Well, freedom comes here in the big picture, in the long term for most people. But what they're trying to do is accelerate that into the short term. How can I be free faster? Well, if you want to get closer to freedom and have more options, then actually what you want to do is you want to create more options in the short term with the long-term thinking, versus the short term, because what it does is it actually reverses. So here you're thinking, well, I'm focused on these things, and that keeps me from thinking the big picture. But the big picture, the long-term thinking, the big thinking gives you more options. So how can I think in that manner? Well, you need to be able to create more options. And actually, if the only option is the thing that gets you closer to more freedom, right? Freedom, I can't write. Freedom, options, etc. Freedom. If that exists here, then we need to be thinking and asking the questions that get us in this direction versus the short term, because the short term is restrictive. Short term has us thinking about, what am I going to do now? Short term is confusing. And if you've ever been broke, if you've ever been poor, a poverty mindset is oftentimes about survival. Survival is about day to day. I need to eat this meal. What am I going to eat next? How am I going to get my next food or find shelter? Things of that nature. And if you're scratching and clawing just to survive every heartbeat by heartbeat, you're going to be in a very heightened state, very anxious, fearful state all the time. Fear restricts our focus in the wrong way. It puts blinders on us in the wrong way. Whereas if you've ever played basketball and or sports, and you hear people talk about how they're in the zone, and we're talking about getting into flow, right? When you're in flow, you're actually in a relaxed state. You're able to see the entire field. Things slow down for you, right? And so if you're thinking short-term, small, limited thinking, everything speeds up and it becomes more frantic. And so your every mistake gets magnified because you're all over the place. Whereas if you have the luxury of time, long-term thinking, I'm going to be a billionaire in 40 years, I can make more smaller mistakes because I have time to correct them. And what you can do is, if you give yourself that amount of time to think about it, now you're actually able to accelerate or move that in closer to you, because you can be more consistent, you can be more focused, and you understand that I really want to be able to do something that is more impactful, that is more certain, and gives more freedom. And what the thing that most people don't really think about or understand is that when you are focused here on creating freedom as a byproduct of being able to have long-term thinking, you actually are freer sooner, because you have the freedom and luxury of thinking in a way that restricts you from all the anxiety and all the things that you're thinking of here, right? So a lot of people don't like sitting down and creating a budget, right, for their business or for their personal life. But all a budget does is, most people, a budget says, these are all the things that I have to pay and I don't have the money for. And you're thinking about it in terms of your business, you're thinking about your expenses and all the things that you want, but you can't afford. But if you think about it in the long term, you think about a plan of, how can I create a path forward to be able to maximize the value, to be able to optimize what I'm up to, so I can be able to bring this freedom forward more faster, and actually creates more freedom because you put it down on paper and you start thinking about things differently. You start reverse engineering this outcome differently. So I've thrown a lot at you. I love to hear what your comments are. Let me know what you discover from this process. But understanding that if you can free yourself of small thinking and learn to think big, remember, thinking, it takes the same amount of energy to think of a big goal as it does to think of a small goal. And so if you are feeling that you're being bogged down in your business, if you feel like you're not getting the momentum, maybe you need a shift in your perspective about how you think about things. If you're only chasing revenue from week to week, from day to day even, or month to month, and you're thinking, I really want to get from $25,000 to $50,000 a month, or $50,000 to $100,000 a month, but you're only thinking monthly, and you're not able to think from year to year, from 5 years or 10 years. If you don't feel like you have that luxury, then maybe you need a shift in that perspective. One of the things that we're going to do, we have an event coming up on December the 6th, right? It's called the $1 Million Year. I'm going to bring it up here. The $1 Million Year is for December 6th. We're going to give you the blueprint for how you can build that $1 million business, yes. But actually, it's a blueprint for building something much, much bigger. And if you learn how to think about things and make that shift in how you can create momentum, now that 10, 5, 10, 15, 20, 40-year plan to become a billionaire or more, and it can sound crazy for a lot of people, like, why would I even think about doing that? Why would I want to go there? But if you're not thinking there, then what are you thinking of, right? Why are you thinking so small? Why can't you think bigger? Why can't you create bigger results, a more impactful business? Why can't you not just create freedom for yourself, but create freedom for those around you that you love for generations to come? People talk about building generational wealth, but they don't have a blueprint to do it. And so they're chasing things in the short term when they could be building a bigger picture and understanding a blueprint that's actually going to build it. You wouldn't build a mansion off of a whim. You wouldn't build a mansion brick by brick, piece by piece, only focusing on one piece without having a blueprint for what it's going to look like in the end and how you can sustain it and maintain it over time. So why would you do that with your business? So if you click on the comments below, there'll be a link below this video on my page on Facebook, LinkedIn. There's going to be events that you can register for that. 500 people are going to be there to experience this and understand how they can build a blueprint and go take 2023 by the horns and turn it into the most profitable, most powerful year of their business life. And I hope you'll join us with there as well. If you're watching this in replay, drop a hashtag replay on YouTube. Please give us a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Share this with someone that you know, someone that you care about, and want them to be able to experience more freedom, to free them from the small thinking that's got them captive, and to be able to unleash the bigger thinking in their lives as well. Thanks for those of you who joined live, dropping comments. I appreciate you. Drop a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. You're watching this on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, what you've been discovering from this. I'm appreciative for each and every one of you. We just want to share the most value that you possibly can receive to be able to make sure that every day is a day of joy and life and gratitude. With that being said, my name is Frederick Douglass Bussey. I'm the founder of Icon Status. I look forward to seeing you. Make sure you register for December 6th, the $1 Million Year. I don't even think I mentioned the name of the event, but it's called the $1 Million Year. That is the event that we have. Every year in December, we do this series called The Best Year Ever. We decided we're going to condense that, which is a 3-day series. We're going to condense that into one 90-minute day. If you feel like you don't have time for that, then maybe you need to invest in this series, this day, this event, even more so. And the best part about it is that the only investment that you have to make is the 90 minutes. We're doing it completely free, completely at no cost to you. So you can join this and be a part of this powerful experience, the blueprint for building your $1 Million Year. That being said, I am grateful for each and every one of you and hope that your week is amazing. Reach out to us, send me a message. Let me know what you're discovering from this. Send me a message personally and let me know if we can possibly support you in what you're building in your business as well. Love you all. My name is Frederick Douglass Bussey. Ever forward.